Rain hammered the streets of Portland so hard that night the city looked underwater. By the time Ava and I reached Rosie's diner, both of us were soaked from sprinting across the parking lot. She laughed the entire way while I carried her backpack over my head like that was somehow helping. The second we stepped inside, warmth hit us all at once. Coffee, grease from the grill, cinnamon rolls fresh from the oven. The old jukebox near the counter played slow jazz while people hid from the storm inside cracked red booths and flickering neon light. "Dad," Ava whispered dramatically, pulling off her tiny pink headphones, "I think I'm dying." I looked down at her. "From what? Hunger? Tragic? I want pancakes. You always want pancakes. Because I believe in consistency." I stared at her for a second. "You're 8 years old. Why do you talk like a divorced uncle?" That made the waitress laugh while leading us toward the back booth. Rosie's diner had become our place after Emma died, not because the food was amazing. Honestly, Walter probably violated 12 health codes every Tuesday, but nobody looked at us with pity there. That mattered. Walter spotted us immediately from behind the grill. "Well, look who survived another week," he shouted. The old man pointed a spatula at Ava. "You still plotting tax evasion?" Ava nodded seriously. "They can't arrest children." Walter slapped the counter, laughing. "That's exactly what they want you to think." For the first time all day, I smiled. Most people who saw me probably thought I was just another exhausted single father barely holding things together. They weren't completely wrong. Losing Emma 2 years earlier had ripped something out of me I never got back. Some mornings I still woke up reaching across the bed before remembering she wasn't there anymore. Those mornings were the hardest, especially for Ava. I slid into the booth across from her while she spread crayons and homework papers everywhere like she was opening a small office. "Okay," I said, "spell beautiful." She groaned immediately. "Why are silent letters even legal?" "Because English enjoys violence." She pointed her crayon at me. That sounded personal. It was. Before I could answer, the front door burst open behind us. 3 young guys walked in loud enough for half the diner to look over automatically. Expensive jackets, perfect haircuts. The kind of confidence people have before life humbles them properly. One of them noticed us almost immediately. Tall guy, blonde, maybe mid-20s. He smirked toward his friends while looking at me. "Bro," he laughed, "that dude looks like he files taxes for fun." His friends cracked up. I ignored them. Ava kept coloring. Walter muttered from behind the counter, "Great. Backup dancers for bad decisions just arrived." The waitress nearly lost it laughing. The guys sat 2 booths away, still talking loudly. "You know he listens to podcasts about lawn care." No. Fantasy football and depression. I kept helping Ava with homework. Most men reach a point where they stop reacting to idiots. I hit that point years ago. Then the blonde guy leaned back far enough to look directly at us. "Hey man," he called. "Friday night homework club, rough life." I stayed calm. "We're eating dinner." "Relax," he laughed. "I'm joking." Ava looked down at her paper quietly. That bothered me more than the guy himself. Then his eyes landed on the wedding ring hanging from the chain around my neck. The grin changed slightly. "Oof," he muttered. "Lemme guess, wife got tired of the boring dad lifestyle?" Everything in the diner went quiet, even the kitchen. I felt Ava stop moving beside me. For 1 second, anger flashed through me so fast it almost surprised me, but I buried it, the same way I buried everything else. "She didn't leave," I said calmly. The guy's grin faded a little. I looked directly at him. "She was murdered." Silence, real silence, the kind that changes the air in a room. For half a second, the guy actually looked ashamed. Then pride took over. "Jesus," he muttered awkwardly. That got dark fast. Walter slammed a plate onto the counter hard enough to make everyone jump. "Kid," he barked, "I got expired bacon with more emotional intelligence than you." A couple customers laughed nervously. The blonde guy forced a smile. "Relax, old man." Then he stood and walked toward our booth. That finally made Ava nervous. She quietly grabbed my hoodie sleeve under the table. "Dad," I covered her hand gently. "It's okay." The guy stopped beside the booth. "You know," he said, "people who act calm like you are usually hiding anger issues." I looked up slowly. "You should sit back down." Something in my voice changed the atmosphere instantly. I saw it hit him, but ego is a dangerous thing when your friends are watching. Instead of backing away, he shoved my shoulder lightly. "Or what?" The movement afterward happened automatically. Training never really leaves your body. 1 second I was sitting. The next I was standing with his wrist twisted downward while his body hit the booth beside us hard enough to shake the dishes. Gasps exploded across the diner. His friends jumped up immediately. I turned toward them calmly. Don't! One word, both froze, nobody moved, nobody even breathed. I released the blonde guy immediately and stepped back. No punches, no screaming, no showing off, just control. The guy stumbled backwards, staring at me like he'd touched an electric fence. Walter slowly lowered the spatula in his hand. Sweet Lord, he whispered. Hoodie boy got downloadable combat skills. Then a voice near the entrance spoke quietly. Well, I'll be damned. I turned instantly. An older black man stood near the diner door, dripping rainwater onto the floor. Frank. I hadn't seen him in almost 11 years. His eyes widened slowly. Mercer, I already hated where this was going. Frank, I sighed. The blonde guy looked confused. You know him. Frank laughed once in disbelief. Know him? He pointed directly at me. This idiot once carried me through a burning apartment building while getting shot at. Every person in the diner stared at me now. I wanted to disappear. Ava looked up slowly. Dad! Frank, I warned quietly. But he ignored me completely. You kids think confidence comes from social media followers. He shook his head toward me. This man spent years doing things nobody should ever have to do. The diner stayed silent. Frank reached into his wallet and pulled out an old photograph. He handed it to Ava. Her eyes widened instantly. Daddy, it was an old military photo, me standing beside Frank overseas years earlier, before Emma, before Ava, before I learned how heavy survival could become. You were a soldier, Ava whispered. I nodded once. For a while. Did you save people? That question hit harder than the idiot insults ever could. I looked down at her. Sometimes. Were you scared? I laughed softly under my breath. Every single time. The diner stayed completely quiet, listening. Then Ava asked the question that nearly broke me. Did Mommy know you were scared? My throat tightened instantly. I looked down at the wedding ring hanging against my chest. Yeah, I said quietly. She always knew. Ava smiled softly. What did she do? I stared out at the rain hitting the diner windows. She made it disappear. Even Walter went quiet after that. The blonde guy slowly stepped forward again, but now he looked embarrassed more than aggressive. Look, man, I crossed a line. I studied him for a second, then nodded once. Yeah, he rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. My brother died last year. Nobody spoke. Overdose. His voice cracked slightly. I think I've been angry at everybody since. And just like that, I understood him. Pain recognizes pain faster than people realize. Walter pointed the spatula toward him. You're still annoying, though. The entire diner burst out laughing. Even the guy laughed through the embarrassment. Finally, I held my hand out. He looked shocked before shaking it carefully. You still have time to become better, I told him. He nodded slowly. I'm trying. Then Ava tugged my sleeve again. Dad, yeah. Can sad bully guy come eat pancakes with us after church tomorrow? The diner exploded laughing. The blonde guy covered his face. Oh my God. Walter nearly collapsed against the grill. Kid just adopted a grown man emotionally. For the first time in months, I laughed so hard my eyes watered. And then the diner door opened again. Cold wind swept through the room. I looked up casually at first. Then my entire body went numb. A woman stood near the entrance holding a dripping umbrella. Same dark hair, same eyes, same tiny scar near her chin. My coffee mug slipped from my hand and shattered across the floor. Because for one impossible second, I thought my dead wife had just walked back into the diner.